The night sky over the region's most critical economic hubs didn't just light up. It transformed into a high-stakes arena of modern technological endurance. No traditional armored divisions rolling across borders, no conventional declarations of conflict. Just the sudden, overwhelming presence of automated aerial assets flooding the horizon. Imagine watching a regional defense screen and tracking over 5,500 distinct anomalies, a relentless automated wave of low-cost, one-way drones and mid-range projectiles aiming for the heart of global energy production. For several intense weeks, the airspace above some of the wealthiest nations on Earth became a testing ground for a completely new type of confrontation. This was not a standard military engagement. It was a carefully calculated mathematical equation designed to drain an economy from the inside out. Here is the undeniable reality of modern asymmetric tactics. The defending nations were forced to launch sophisticated premium interceptors, each carrying a price tag in the multi-millions, just to neutralize mass-produced aerial vehicles that cost barely a fraction of a used car. It was an economic spiral designed to exhaust the defenders. A multi-billion-dollar state-of-the-art defense grid was being pushed to its absolute operational limits by fleets of remote-controlled hardware. The adversary's gamble was remarkably strategic. Drag the defending coalition into a financial vacuum where every successful interception meant a massive monetary loss. They were burning through advanced inventory at a pace that traditional defense contractors simply could not replenish. But right when the regional chessboard seemed hopelessly locked in a cycle of financial exhaustion, a completely new technological paradigm was introduced. A revolutionary approach that completely bypassed traditional military procurement systems was about to rewrite the rules of aerial defense, turning a massive vulnerability into an impenetrable digital shield. To truly understand the immense scale of this logistical challenge, you have to look at the undeniable data collected during the first 14 days of the crisis. The adversary did not focus their efforts on traditional military installations. Instead, they redirected the full capacity of their automated strike network straight at the region's economic foundation. Over 85% of these thousands of aerial assets were routed directly toward massive coastal mega-refineries and critical desalination plants. The target selection was meticulously programmed. This was a highly calculated campaign of logistical and financial exhaustion. They aimed to disrupt the facilities capable of processing millions of barrels of global energy per day. The fundamental strategy was never about occupying physical territory. It was about forcing an unwinnable war of resource depletion. The defending coalition's elite air defense systems performed exactly as designed, successfully intercepting the vast majority of these incoming anomalies before they could reach their destinations. But that incredible tactical success masked a deeply concerning strategic problem. When a defense network is required to spend 100 times more to protect a facility than the adversary spends to target it, the long-term outlook is unsustainable. It was a wake-up call for global security analysts. Even an emergency multi-billion-dollar fast-track order for more premium interceptors couldn't permanently resolve the issue, simply because complex manufacturing lines cannot outpace the production of cheap, commercial-grade drone components. The defending nations were not failing in the sky, but they were facing a rapidly compounding fiscal challenge. The situation demanded an immediate, radical, and highly cost-effective technological pivot. Without it, the economic fortress of the energy markets faced an unprecedented level of strain. Unprecedented challenges require entirely unconventional solutions. Within a highly critical 48-hour window, the standard diplomatic and military playbooks were completely tossed out. A covert, high-level summit took place far from the conflict zone, not between traditional superpowers, but between agile European aerospace startups and visionary Gulf investment funds. What emerged from these closed-door meetings was a complete paradigm shift in regional security, unofficially designated as Project Nova. The defenders realized that trying to win an asymmetric conflict using legacy defense architecture was impossible. They needed a solution forged in the fast-paced world of artificial intelligence and microengineering. Project Nova brought together the brightest minds in autonomous technology to build a defense network optimized for one specific metric: cost efficiency per interception. Instead of relying on massive, explosive payloads, the Nova initiative introduced a decentralized network of AI-guided micro-interceptors and advanced localized signal jammers. This move effectively bypassed the slow bureaucratic red tape of global arms deals. The defending nations were no longer just writing massive checks for older technology. They were directly funding and deploying next-generation tech, transforming their infrastructure into a real-world testing ground for the future of automated defense. By injecting this innovative methodology directly into the region's security grid, the coalition wasn't just solving their immediate crisis, They were establishing themselves as pioneers in advanced electronic countermeasures. The collaboration bridged the gap between rapid tech innovation and massive sovereign wealth, creating a resilient shield that operated flawlessly without the astronomical price tag of traditional missile systems. The crown jewel of Project Nova is an incredibly efficient piece of hardware known as the Aegis Micro-Swarm. While a legacy interceptor requires millions of dollars in specialized launch silos, a single Aegis unit operates at a fraction of that, averaging about $1,500 per deployment. It operates on a fundamentally different philosophy. It doesn't use heavy kinetic force. Instead, it utilizes a combination of precise aerial maneuvering and localized electromagnetic disruption to neutralize inbound automated threats mid-flight. The financial math of this new system was beautifully optimized. If the adversary programmed a wave of 50 low-cost drones, the defense grid could now instantly launch 50 Aegis units to counter them, bringing the total defensive expenditure down to an incredibly manageable $75,000. Achieving that exact same interception rate with legacy systems would have drained hundreds of millions of dollars from the defense budget. That staggering reduction in operational costs completely shattered the adversary's strategy of economic exhaustion. But Project Nova was much more than just inexpensive hardware. It was a comprehensive, cloud-based data operation. Dozens of tech specialists were quietly integrated into the region's command centers. They brought a highly sophisticated AI-driven tracking network that seamlessly connected with existing early warning radars. They trained operators to predict flight paths, automatically disrupt navigation frequencies, and deploy mobile electronic barriers across the desert. By syncing predictive algorithms with rapid response micro-drones, they essentially erected a dynamic, invisible digital wall. The adversary's strategy of overwhelming numbers was suddenly rendered obsolete by a network of highly intelligent, incredibly affordable automated guardians. Realizing their primary aerial strategy was rapidly losing its effectiveness, the adversary immediately pivoted to their secondary leverage point, a critical maritime choke point that serves as the central artery for global trade. This narrow aquatic corridor is an absolute necessity for international commerce, handling nearly a quarter of the world's seaborne energy exports on a daily basis. Trillions of dollars in annual trade rely on the safe passage of commercial vessels through this tight geographical bottleneck. Within days of the aerial campaign stalling, the adversary announced strict limitations on maritime movement, effectively threatening to halt all unauthorized commercial traffic. The global fallout was instantaneous and deeply concerning for international markets. Commercial transit volume through the corridor plummeted by a staggering 75%. Global commodity prices spiked dramatically, sending ripples of instability through major stock exchanges. Maritime insurance premiums for cargo vessels skyrocketed to unprecedented levels, making standard shipping routes financially unviable for many operators. Financial analysts quickly labeled this maneuver as a profound test of global logistical resilience. The adversary's ultimate goal was clear: create enough economic instability on a global scale that international powers would be forced to intervene and offer favorable diplomatic concessions. They aimed to hold the industrialized world's supply chain hostage by turning a vital transit route into an unpredictable hazard zone. It was a masterful display of geographic leverage designed to induce panic across global supply networks. For a brief, tense period, the international community held its breath, wondering if the global economy could withstand the pressure. While international markets braced for severe disruptions, the defending coalition calmly executed a brilliant logistical countermove. They activated the Trans-Arabian Energy Corridor, a massive, recently modernized network of overland pipelines and high-speed freight infrastructure, stretching thousands of kilometers across the continent. This interconnected grid links the eastern energy production hubs directly to secure alternative ports on the Mediterranean and Red Sea coasts. Designed over the last decade for exactly this type of supply chain emergency, the overland corridor was rapidly brought to maximum operational capacity. Almost overnight, millions of barrels of energy resources and vital cargo were rerouted. They completely bypassed the contested maritime choke point, flowing safely across secure land routes for global distribution. Protected from the sky by the newly implemented Nova Defense Network, this continental bypass rendered the adversary's geographic leverage virtually meaningless. The most powerful geopolitical tool in their playbook was outmaneuvered by superior infrastructure and strategic foresight. Simultaneously, the international community did not remain passive. A massive international maritime coalition comprised of highly advanced naval assets deployed to the region. However, instead of escalating the situation with aggressive kinetic strikes, the coalition utilized state-of-the-art electronic warfare vessels. They systematically jammed coastal observation radars, disabled remote targeting systems, and neutralized unmanned surface vehicles safely from a distance. The adversary's maritime tracking capabilities were effectively blinded, securing the remaining safe waters without triggering a broader, uncontrollable regional escalation. The combination of overland logistics and digital naval superiority stabilized the situation. When we step back and analyze the entirety of this geopolitical chess match, the reality is astounding. An entire doctrine of asymmetric economic warfare has been completely neutralized. The strategy of using mass-produced, low-cost anomalies to bankrupt a wealthy defense grid is now failing, actively dismantled by even smarter, cheaper, AI-driven technology. Their ultimate geographic leverage, the maritime choke point, was effortlessly bypassed by world-class continental engineering and protected by an international electronic shield. During the peak of the crisis, thousands of automated projectiles were launched, and an astonishing 98% were successfully intercepted or digitally disabled. This is far more than just a successful defensive operation. It marks a fundamental evolution in how nations protect their infrastructure. The defending coalition is no longer reliant solely on legacy hardware and slow procurement cycles. They have built an independent, multi-layered, technologically superior architecture that blends international innovation with massive logistical capability. The era of holding global markets hostage through simple volume tactics is fading. The balance of power has been fundamentally redefined by advanced micro-interceptors, predictive algorithms, and thousands of kilometers of secure overland infrastructure. Keep your attention focused on these developments because what we are witnessing isn't just a regional logistical triumph. It is the blueprint for the next century of global security and resource management. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and understand the deep technological shifts shaping our world before they make the mainstream headlines, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. The geopolitical board is evolving rapidly, and you won't want to miss the next major analysis.